My first guest is the man who made electric cars a thing and is currently working on perfecting. He's going to work on that tunnel thing on traffic. He also tweets a lot. Elon Musk, ladies and gentlemen.
And that Elon's a car manufacturer, but he's not a car manufacturer. He's a car assembler. In an unprecedented turn of events, tech titan Elon Musk was reportedly kicked out of the White House in a dramatic clash that left the world stunned. Moments later, an emotional Musk was seen fighting back tears as he announced his resignation, sending shockwaves through Silicon Valley and beyond. But what really happened behind those closed doors? Was it political pressure, personal betrayal, or a breaking point years in the making? Buckle up as we dive into the whole story behind this jaw-dropping moment that's shaking the global stage. Elon Musk's sudden displacement from the White House. Elon Musk, the billionaire tech entrepreneur known for his audacious ideas and unrelenting ambition, has always had a way of captivating the public's attention. He is a figure who constantly pushes boundaries, and his actions often leave people both impressed and perplexed. A few years ago, Musk was seen as one of the most powerful allies of Donald Trump, aligning himself with the controversial businessman turned politician in a way that raised eyebrows across the political landscape. Musk's financial support and vocal backing made him a key player in Trump's political campaigns, with reports suggesting he invested between $250 million and $260 million into Trump's endeavors. This heavy financial backing positioned Musk as a figure who could count on a close relationship with the former president. During this period, Musk's loyalty to Trump was clear for all to see. He attended high-profile events alongside Trump, making no effort to hide his allegiance. Their association appeared to be a mutually beneficial one, as Musk seemed to enjoy a prominent position in Trump's inner circle. It wasn't just about money, it was about influence. Musk was widely seen as a major player in Trump's corner, someone whose support could help solidify the former president's base of power. But now, just a few years later, the situation has taken a sudden and dramatic turn. Recent reports have revealed that Musk, despite his significant financial contributions, has been excluded from the West Wing of the White House, a symbol of power and influence in American politics. Instead, he was offered an office in the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, which is part of the White House complex, but is physically separated from the action. In a sense, it's like being told to wait in the parking lot while all the important business takes place inside. For someone who had invested so much in Trump's political journey, Musk surely imagined a much closer connection to the center of political power. This unexpected development begs several important questions. Why was Musk, once considered a close ally of Trump, relegated to a less prominent position? What changed in their relationship? And what does this shift mean for Musk's future in the political arena? Musk's sidelining is all the more striking, given how deeply embedded he seemed to be in Trump's world just a short while ago. His backing of Trump, both financially and publicly, made him a fixture in the political landscape. The sudden nature of this change leaves many wondering whether Musk's time in Trump's orbit is coming to an end. There are also broader implications to consider. Musk is not just any businessman. He is a figure whose influence extends far beyond the world of tech and into the realms of politics, economics, and social discourse. His decision to align himself with Trump's campaign was a significant moment, one that placed him at the intersection of technology and politics in a way that few others could claim. Yet, now that he has been pushed to the margins, it raises the question of how much influence Musk can still wield in Washington. Is he out of favor? Has the political tide shifted against him? The answer to these questions is not clear, but what is certain is that the relationship between Musk and Trump is no longer what it once was. The man who once stood alongside Trump, proudly displaying his support, now finds himself far from the White House's corridors of power. This dramatic change serves as a reminder of the volatile nature of political alliances and how quickly things can shift in the world of power and influence. For Musk, the road ahead is uncertain, but one thing is clear. He is no longer the central figure he once was in the political scene. Aside from this, are there other areas where Musk has been hit hard by the shift in political tide? Let's find out. Elon Musk and Donald Trump's relationship faces a major shift over tariffs. The once close relationship between Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, and President Donald Trump has taken a dramatic turn, especially regarding tariffs and trade policies. Musk, who had supported Trump during the 2016 presidential election with significant financial donations, initially saw his backing pay off. Under Trump's leadership, the U.S. began to support electric vehicles, EVs, more openly, even with Trump reportedly purchasing a Tesla himself, signaling his endorsement of Musk's company. However, this harmonious relationship began to unravel as soon as Trump's administration introduced new tariffs, which heavily impacted Musk's business. Tesla's stock, closely tied to Musk's wealth, plummeted, dropping 38.5% from its high of $479.86 per share in December to $230.29. This sharp decline in Tesla's stock reflected the challenges the company was facing as a result of these political decisions. Beyond just the financial implications, Musk's ties to Trump became a point of contention. Many Tesla customers, disillusioned by the CEO's association with Trump's controversial politics, began to boycott the brand. Reports even surfaced of Tesla stores and vehicles being vandalized, showcasing the public's growing disapproval of Musk's political connections. In a surprising twist, Musk has since distanced himself from some of Trump's policies. He publicly opposed the tariffs imposed by the president, calling for a zero-tariff agreement between the U.S. and Europe, a stark contrast to Trump's protectionist stance. Musk's call for open trade between the U.S. and Europe, aiming to create a free trade zone, has made waves in both business and political circles. He argued that eliminating tariffs would foster greater economic growth and collaboration across borders, suggesting that free trade could lead to more opportunities for innovation. Musk also advocated for greater freedom of movement for labor between the U.S. and Europe, envisioning a world where people could work anywhere without the restrictions of national borders. Interestingly, Musk claimed that this was advice he had shared with Trump during their earlier interactions, offering a more open view on immigration and labor compared to Trump's own policies. The rift between Musk and Trump's administration became even more apparent when Musk mocked Trump's chief trade advisor, Peter Navarro, who was a staunch advocate of the tariffs. Musk humorously criticized Navarro's qualifications, posting on social media that a PhD in economics from Harvard was more of a hindrance than a help, a pointed jab at Navarro's protectionist views. This moment exemplified how Musk had become increasingly critical of the policies he once supported. These shifts highlight the complex and evolving nature of Musk's relationship with Trump, showing that even high-profile business figures like Musk are susceptible to the changing political landscape. While Musk initially supported Trump's vision, the economic consequences of tariffs, coupled with the political fallout, led him to reassess his position. As Musk pushes for more open trade and labor mobility, it remains unclear how these differences will affect his business ventures, particularly Tesla, which continues to navigate both internal challenges and the unpredictable political climate. Aside from the effect of the tariff on Musk's business and his relationship with Trump, Musk was caught in a tussle with Peter Navarro on the aftermath of the tariff's effects. Let's delve into the details of the rift between Musk and Navarro. Musk's feud with Navarro. The feud between Elon Musk and Peter Navarro took a fiery turn on Monday, when Navarro sharply criticized Musk and Tesla. Navarro, a former senior trade advisor to President Trump, argued that Tesla was more of a car assembler than a true car manufacturer, pointing out that the company relies heavily on global parts rather than producing everything in-house. Musk quickly fired back, calling Navarro a moron on social media, and even mocked him by claiming he was dumber than a sack of bricks. However, Musk soon backtracked on the brick comment, apologizing to bricks for the unfair comparison before reverting to calling Navarro a derogatory name. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt attempted to downplay the spat, suggesting that boys will be boys and implying that such public bickering was a regular occurrence. Yet Navarro, known for his unapologetic, outspoken nature, refused to engage when reporters pressed him about the exchange. Navarro's ties to Trump are well documented. He has been one of the president's most loyal allies and even spent 4 months in jail for contempt of Congress over his defiance during investigations into Trump's administration. Musk, while often supportive of Trump and his campaign, has publicly disagreed with some of Trump's trade policies, particularly the tariffs on European goods. Musk has called for zero tariffs between the U.S. and Europe, accusing Navarro of misjudging economic policies and criticizing his role in shaping those tariffs. Adding fuel to the fire, Musk's brother, Kimball, joined the debate using his own social media platform to back Musk's stance on the tariffs. Kimball argued that these tariffs acted as a structural, permanent tax on the American consumer, harming everyday people rather than benefiting the economy. His comments supported Elon's position and added more weight to the argument against the tariffs. Navarro's reputation for public clashes extends beyond his feud with Musk. He has frequently clashed with other prominent Trump allies, including Mark Short, former chief of staff to Vice President Mike Pence. Navarro has been criticized for overstepping his expertise, often finding himself at the center of controversy due to his aggressive policy positions and tendency to clash with others in the Trump administration. Musk, a master of using social media to address critics, has built a reputation for calling out anyone who challenges him, including judges who rule against him in legal matters. His presence on X, formerly Twitter, has made him one of the most talked about figures in the tech world, and his willingness to take on his detractors has only increased over time. The tariff debate itself is complex. Since Trump first introduced tariffs on certain foreign goods, government officials have expressed differing views on the purpose of these policies. Navarro has consistently argued that tariffs are essential for protecting U.S. interests, not just a negotiating tactic. Meanwhile, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has suggested that Trump might use trade negotiations to gain leverage, implying there's room for flexibility in U.S. trade policy. Ultimately, the Musk-Navarro clash highlights broader tensions over economic policies and international trade. It underscores a growing divide over how the U.S. should manage its trade relations, especially with Europe. This public dispute between two influential figures, Musk with his tech empire and Navarro, a staunch Trump supporter, is unlikely to fade anytime soon. Their rivalry, deeply rooted in differing economic philosophies, is set to keep the media and the public on edge for the foreseeable future. But how and when did Musk get so close to Trump? Let's dig into the details of the peak and fall of their relationship. The rise and fall of Musk's relationship with Trump. Of lunch, Musk's entry into the political arena was anything but understated. He didn't merely watch from the sidelines. He actively inserted himself into the political spotlight, particularly through his strong and public support for Donald Trump. Musk, the billionaire tech mogul known for his ventures like SpaceX and Tesla, didn't just make token gestures of support. He dove headfirst into backing Trump, both with his voice and his finances. From attending key events with the future president to making significant financial contributions, Musk made it clear that he was aligning himself with Trump's cause, seeking a place in the president's influential inner circle. For a while, Musk seemed to have exactly what he wanted. He was a regular at high-profile gatherings with Trump, lending his support in both words and actions. His donations were seen not just as acts of charity, but as strategic investments in ensuring that his ambitious projects and ideas would be on the radar of the most powerful person in America. It seemed like Musk's influence was growing, that his support of Trump would secure his position within the administration's orbit, where his vision for the future could be nurtured and advanced. However, as time passed, Musk's political influence began to fade. Despite his early enthusiasm, it became clear that he wasn't able to maintain the same level of closeness to the Trump administration. In fact, things seemed to unravel when Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, made a telling remark to incoming staffers. She reportedly said that there was no room for solo superstars in the White House, a phrase that must have struck Musk hard. After all, Musk's entire persona is built around being a larger-than-life figure. Whether it's launching rockets into space or revolutionizing the electric car industry, Musk is known for his high-profile, independent ventures. He thrives in the spotlight and often takes the center stage in whatever he does. But that very individuality, which has defined Musk's career, began to clash with the group dynamics of the Trump administration. Musk, a man who has always preferred to stand out, didn't quite fit into a White House culture that demanded loyalty to the collective vision and a more reserved approach. The more Musk tried to make his mark, the more it seemed like his larger-than-life presence was rubbing against the grain of Trump's leadership style. It wasn't long before Musk, once a visible and vocal supporter of Trump's agenda, found himself sidelined. This situation brings to light a harsh truth about political alliances, especially for those who tie their fates to powerful figures like Trump. Political loyalty, as Musk learned, can be a fragile thing. One minute, you can be riding high, basking in the glow of political favor, and the next, you're discarded. Musk's story reveals just how quickly things can change when you put all your chips in one basket. Even someone with Musk's immense wealth and groundbreaking achievements wasn't immune to the shifting tides of political favor. The lesson here is clear. Political alliances are often temporary, and loyalty is not always a two-way street. Musk, for all his brilliance and financial clout, discovered that political connections can be fleeting. He may have thought that his early support for Trump would secure a lasting place at the table, but in the unpredictable world of politics, even the most powerful people can find themselves pushed to the sidelines when the dynamics change. Musk's experience serves as a reminder that in the political world, loyalty is fragile, and no amount of money or fame can guarantee a permanent seat of influence. Before the shift Musk had in the political tide, he had been at the center of public backlash, resulting from some of his actions. Let's take a look at one of such events, the salute controversy. Elon Musk's troubles with his political connections didn't end with his exclusion from the White House. In fact, his public image took a dramatic blow after an event that occurred during President Donald Trump's inauguration. Musk, a prominent business magnate and tech innovator, made a series of gestures that many observers found deeply unsettling. To some, they appeared strikingly similar to the infamous Nazi salute, a symbol forever linked to hatred, white supremacy, and the dark period of World War II. The gestures Musk made, starting with what seemed like a fist placed over his heart and followed by an arm raised outward, quickly ignited a wave of controversy. Inside the arena, the crowd cheered, possibly unaware of the storm brewing outside. Social media, however, erupted in outrage, with users accusing Musk of making a fascist salute. People were quick to criticize his actions, wondering how someone of his stature could display such troubling body language, especially given the historical significance of such gestures. This controversy didn't die down quickly. Historians, political analysts, and organizations like the Anti-Defamation League, ADL, were among the first to speak out. Experts condemned Musk's actions, pointing out the alarming resemblance to the Nazi salute. The Nazi salute, of course, is a symbol that stands for an ideology of white supremacy, xenophobia, and violence. The fact that Musk, a billionaire whose companies and innovations had put him in the global spotlight, appeared to make such a gesture sparked immediate concerns. People couldn't help but wonder whether he had aligned himself with extreme political views. Musk, however, remained unfazed by the backlash. Instead of offering an apology or clarifying his actions, he doubled down. He posted a video of his speech, seemingly trying to downplay the controversy. Additionally, he engaged with social media memes that attempted to make light of the situation, portraying it as some kind of joke. His refusal to take the criticism seriously only made matters worse. For many, this defiant attitude only intensified suspicions about his political leanings. The political consequences of Musk's actions were profound. For some, it was more than just a harmless mistake. Musk's gestures appeared to signal a deeper alignment with far-right ideologies, a troubling thought given his immense influence in both business and technology. Critics quickly noted his increasing connections with far-right figures across Europe, many of whom are known for their controversial, often divisive views. These relationships added weight to accusations that Musk was sympathetic to these far-right ideologies. His ties to far-right leaders in countries like Germany and Italy raised further alarms, leaving many to question whether Musk was embracing these extremist views, consciously or not. The salute incident added fuel to this growing fire. It became an undeniable focal point for critics, making it much harder for Musk to distance himself from the accusations that he was aligning with dangerous political movements. Musk, who had previously prided himself on his ability to push the boundaries of technology and innovation, now found himself caught in the storm of a political scandal. Despite his wealth and status, his actions had placed him under a political microscope, with his every move scrutinized by those who feared his influence could be used to support extremist ideologies. As the controversy continued to swirl, it was clear that Musk's political ties and personal views were under intense scrutiny. The fallout from the incident during Trump's inauguration was not just about a single moment. It was about how his actions and associations with certain political figures were shaping the way the world saw him. With critics accusing him of becoming more involved in far-right political movements, Musk found himself walking a fine line between his business endeavors and the growing political firestorm surrounding him. What started as an innocent gesture at a public event soon spiraled into a highly charged debate about power, politics, and the responsibility of influential figures in society. Musk's refusal to clarify or distance himself from the incident only deepened the questions about where his loyalties truly lay. The fallout from this episode left a lasting mark on his political image, with many wondering if he could ever fully separate himself from the far-right accusations that continued to haunt him. Despite the widespread outrage and condemnation, Elon Musk remained steadfast in his stance, showing no signs of regret or remorse. How did he react to the backlash? Let's find out. Musk's defiance. Rather than backing down in the face of criticism over his controversial salute, Musk only dug in deeper. His reaction to the uproar was anything but apologetic. Instead of acknowledging the concerns of his critics, he responded with a mix of sarcasm and defiance, seemingly uninterested in offering any sort of apology or clarification. Musk didn't just ignore the backlash, he mocked it. He dismissed the uproar on social media, labeling his critics' accusations as tired and overblown. By refusing to acknowledge any wrongdoing, Musk stoked the flames of controversy even further. His unwavering defiance only seemed to fuel the fire, with his supporters rallying behind him, while those against him doubled down on their condemnation. His response to the controversy was a clear reflection of his personality: bold, unapologetic, and stubborn. For Musk, the backlash seemed like just another case of people misunderstanding his true intentions. He attempted to reframe the situation, suggesting that his salute was simply a harmless gesture of appreciation for the crowd. However, few were convinced by his explanation. To many, his actions seemed to be more than just a simple misunderstanding. They appeared to be part of a larger, more deliberate shift toward far-right politics. This shift, whether intentional or not, was starting to raise eyebrows, and it became clear that Musk's stance on certain issues was becoming more politically charged and polarizing than ever before. As the controversy continued to unfold, Musk's refusal to back down began to have real consequences. His defiance came at a cost, as many people, some of whom had once been his loyal supporters, started to distance themselves from him. Investors, who had once viewed him as a visionary, began to question his judgment, and the tech mogul's tendency to court controversy began to take a toll on his public image. The more Musk stood his ground, the more he alienated those around him, and his reputation began to suffer. It was becoming clear that Musk's approach to handling criticism was starting to backfire. While his supporters continued to cheer him on, the broader public seemed increasingly unsettled by his actions. Many people began to wonder if Musk's defiance would continue to serve him well, or if, in the end, it would lead to his downfall. Could he continue to ride the wave of controversy without losing his grip on public opinion? Or was this the beginning of the end for his once unquestioned influence? What was once seen as a bold and confident approach to leadership was now starting to look like a stubborn refusal to listen to criticism. Musk's ability to steer his companies through turbulent waters had earned him admiration in the past. But now his actions, especially his political statements and lack of willingness to address the criticism, were beginning to alienate those who had once supported him. The tech world and the public at large was watching closely to see whether Musk could weather this storm, or if his defiant stance would eventually lead to a shift in how he was viewed. In many ways, this moment in Musk's career felt like a tipping point, a time when the public's perception of him was shifting in real time. His supporters were still vocal, but the growing chorus of detractors could no longer be ignored. The question on everyone's mind was whether Musk would continue to thrive as a polarizing figure or whether the cost of his defiance would eventually outweigh the benefits of his unapologetic approach. All of these can be said to be as a result of Musk's involvement in politics. As Musk resigns after being kicked out of the White House, what would be the fate of Tesla amidst the hard-hitting economic tariffs? Let's dig into the details. The cost of Musk's political involvement. As Elon Musk became more deeply involved in politics, a growing number of people began to question how this shift was affecting his business, especially his role at Tesla. His political activities were increasingly consuming his time, and many began to wonder if he was losing focus on his primary duties as Tesla's CEO. Investors, ever watchful of his influence on the company's future, began asking tough questions about how Musk was dividing his attention. With Tesla facing a range of challenges, particularly in maintaining its leadership in the electric vehicle market, concerns mounted that his political ventures might be distracting him from the critical work at Tesla. Tesla's once strong reputation was beginning to show cracks. Reports revealed that the company's value had taken a significant dive, and its aging vehicle models were no longer captivating the market the way they used to. Tesla, which had once led the electric vehicle revolution, was struggling to keep up with newer, more competitive designs from other manufacturers. To make matters worse, Musk's controversial actions and statements in the public eye were turning off potential customers. Public sentiment seemed to shift away from Tesla, with many fewer people recommending the brand or even considering it for their next purchase. In fact, Tesla's brand value reportedly dropped by a staggering 26% in the previous year, a sharp decline that sent ripples through the company and its investors. As Musk spent more and more of his time and energy engaging in politics, particularly by supporting polarizing far-right figures, Tesla's performance began to feel the impact. Shareholders who had once been enthusiastic supporters of Musk's vision grew anxious. They feared that the CEO's split focus, juggling Tesla, his political stances, and his various other business ventures, was weakening his ability to steer the company through a critical time. His political entanglements, especially his public interactions with controversial figures like former President Donald Trump, only added fuel to the fire. For many, these actions raised serious questions about whether Musk's personal ambitions were beginning to overshadow his responsibilities to Tesla. In the midst of this growing controversy, there was also the unsettling incident in which Musk was caught up in a moment involving a Nazi salute, an event that sparked widespread criticism and further added to the skepticism surrounding his leadership. Investors were becoming increasingly uncomfortable with the idea that Musk's political interests might be starting to take precedence over the needs of his company, and the public image of both Musk and Tesla was beginning to suffer as a result. As all of this unfolded, many began to wonder whether Musk was still capable of maintaining his leadership role at Tesla. His political journey, it seemed, was quickly becoming a major distraction, and there were fears that it might end up costing him more than he had anticipated. Could he continue to lead Tesla with the same focus and innovation that had once made him a legend in the business world? Or would his political ambitions undermine everything he had worked so hard to build? For Tesla, the stakes were high. With a market full of competition, shifting consumer preferences, and a brand that was starting to lose its luster, the question of Musk's ability to balance his personal interests with his corporate duties had never been more critical. Investors and fans alike began to wonder if Musk's political pursuits would ultimately have a lasting impact on Tesla's future. Would his distraction with politics cause the company to falter, or would he manage to find a way to navigate both worlds successfully? In the end, It wasn't just about whether Musk could maintain his focus on Tesla's success. It was also about whether his controversial political views would alienate the very people who had supported him from the beginning. As the months went by, the pressure on Musk only increased. He found himself at a crossroads, with the future of Tesla hanging in the balance. Would his political journey prove to be a stepping stone or a stumbling block in his quest to lead one of the most innovative companies in the world? Only time would tell. What do you think about Musk's political challenges? Will he rise again? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.